Hi, I'm Taylor with the Tanner Steffler Foundation, and I'm here to talk about self-harm. I'm here with
Shari, and I'm here to talk about my past experiences.
So, if you want to start, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and how we are kind of connected?
I would say that we've been very close from ever since we met in school and everything, and hung out outside of school, and are still pretty connected as friends today.
So, we're here to talk a little bit about your experience with self-harm. Right? Do you want to give us a bit of introduction to your own experience?
I guess it kind of started when we merged from public school to high school. That turnover was very difficult and hard, one being a teenager in the society we were living in, and also moving into a town with all these new kids and new ways of living, and everything just kind of like was shocking. And I just took everything in personally and kept it all in, kind of thing, and I didn't know how to release it exactly. So I thought that the best way to do that was to do it to myself, I guess.
For us specifically, going from Huron Centennial, which is a very rural school, we're out in the country surrounded by cornfields, to going right into high school, you know, is a serious culture shock at that age, right?
Yeah, like not knowing that you can just walk uptown to go to the convenience store or something. Like it took me so many years to even do that by myself, because I was scared to even go anywhere by myself in town, being in high school, and then not knowing how to quite get there exactly either, and because my directions or like didn't know the street names and whatever, because we grew up on dirt roads, and so it was
I grew up in the country. Right.
So it was hard, but the first couple years were fine. But then once I got kind of older, and I think the trends being a female too in high school was just like a lot to take in, because I didn't know who I wanted to be or who I should have been or who I wanted to be. So I had a lot of like style problems in that too, kind of where like I didn't know what I wanted to be.
Yeah, and we were also, both of us, we were kind of punk rock for our age.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were very into like My Chemical Romance.
Yes.
And you were really into like Pierce the Veil, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, Pierce the Veil.
Behind the camera, the guy filming was like,
yeah. Yeah, and so I think that too was like kind of like knowing I was a little bit of an outcast, or like we both were, being like liking that type of music and stuff. I kind of felt like I wasn't the typical like preppy girl, or I didn't like to wear pink, or I didn't like to wear that kind of stuff, and so I felt really outcasted. And
yeah, definitely didn't feel like you fit in with the kind of people that we were surrounded by.
Yeah. But knowing you too, like growing up with the people that we did in Huron Centennial, I knew that I could go to those type of people and they could understand what I was kind of going through, so I knew I could talk to people. But it was also too that during the struggle time was like I felt like I couldn't talk to anybody, because I felt like nobody could understand what I was doing to myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, now being older too, I realized that a lot more people do more stuff than you think.
Yes.
Than you realize.
So would you say it was kind of within that transition time between grade 8 and grade 9 is kind of when the kind of coping with self-harm started?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, and too, like the situation I grew up in was kind of hard, and having an older brother too, like it helped having the older brother, but I think with his struggles too, like I don't want to say image exactly, but knowing what he kind of went through and was going through, and I didn't know that at the time. It kind of was like he would like, play fight with me or like kind of say stuff to me as a sibling, but then I would take that as like you're, what's that word? Like you're insulting me because you're being mean to me. But now I realize that he's also was going through something.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Same thing with my brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's like even with just siblings, like it's for one thing you never realize what like say your friends are going through, but even with just your siblings, like who live in your house with you, you never know, right?
Yeah, I guess I always did it in my room too, so I never did tell anybody until years and years later, because I also didn't want my parents to be like mad at me or something. Like I thought I was as a kid, as a teenager, 16-year-old, I was like, my parents are gonna be so mad at me if I do this or like tell them about it or like what I'm doing to myself. So I also felt like I couldn't even open up to my parents kind of at the time. Like it was, yeah.
Do you want to talk a bit about specifically what self-harm was for you, or like what you did to cope?
I guess I would like, should I say this, like late at night, I would like be listening to music or something, but then I would really take the lyrics in to like really take it to heart, and I would feel the pain in the singer's voice kind of too, and I would take that on as my own pain kind of thing, and I would just like start crying and like whatever, and then I was like, should I do this? And I was like not wanting to do it, but I needed to like release some sort of pain or something. Like I didn't want to like punch a wall or something, so I just thought that was the best way to do it. And at the time I did kind of help her to not help, but like it did feel like I was coping with it.
Well, yeah,
but,
in the moment, you can say help. Like it does, when you're in that moment, it is the release. You're finding the release that your body needs. It's not in a healthy way.
No.
But it's still coping.
Yeah, and yeah, at the time it did feel like when I would do it, it would just be like a relief of like okay, I'm done now, or something. But yeah.
For myself, it's funny you mentioned the punching a wall, because for myself that was the beginning of what self-harm was for me, and it was always I would hit myself extremely hard. I would slap myself to kind of I always thought of it as getting myself out of what I was thinking of. I'd always be stuck in these ruminations or these spirals where you're thinking about the same thing obsessively, and I would think about people who were bullying me, or think about like fights I was having with my brother, or people who were bullying me at school. And to get out of that mindset, I would slap myself or punch things, or when I was really young, I would used to rip up paper really really aggressively to kind of like let out that anger and let out that emotion, right?
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of the anger for me too came from like image too. Like I said, looking at all these like pretty thin girls in high school, I was just like, why can't I be like that, or why can't I look like that? So I would like go home and like sulk on the couch and be like, I don't want to do anything else, because I feel like there's no purpose to doing anything else unless I like don't eat or something to look skinnier or harm myself, because it feels like it's a relief. But then that's where too my brother would like kind of say like, why don't you get up off the couch, like let's go to the beach or something. Like he was trying to get me off the couch to do something, but I just couldn't get myself to do it, because I felt like I just should have been just sitting on the couch and like doing whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah. But then I'd get mad at myself too for doing that. So it's just like a vicious cycle of like not knowing, or like wanting to get off the couch but can't. But then like getting mad at yourself for staying on the couch all this time. It's just
cycles over and over again.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
At what point, or say at what age, did you kind of realize that coping in that way wasn't helping you or wasn't serving you?
I don't know if you remember the challenge day that we did in high school. I think honestly that is when I realized what I was doing was what I was doing, like what it was called, kind of thing.
So do you want to give an explanation of like what Challenge Day was?
Challenge Day was this thing that I think it was just a random group of kids, or you could sign up to go for it, and it was just basically this big like essentially therapy session kind of. You're in a group of like 6 or so students with I think one teacher, maybe not.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't a lot. There wasn't a lot of authority.
Yeah, like, and there was teachers there, but just I think we were mostly in groups of 5 or 6 students, and then everybody would choose to share something that they were willing to choose or to share with. And I think that's when I forget who it was, but somebody had said that their like dad was an alcoholic and would hit things or like be loud and stuff, and I was just kind of like sitting there. I was like, wait, like that's actually happening to me, or like. And then the girl too said that she was like harming herself for like not eating because she wanted to be skinny and stuff, and I was like, that's when I first realized that what I was doing, what I was doing, and it was just a weird like coming to
it's like a whoa. It's
like
the realization. You're like, oh whoa, there's other people who are doing the same thing that I'm doing.
Yeah, and also that,
because you keep it so secret. Right? It's a thing that you're like, oh, this is only for me.
Yeah.
Like I'm not sharing this with my parents or anything. Right?
Yeah, and you do kind of think that nobody can see it on your face either, but honestly now growing up too, I feel like some people might have noticed on our faces that we were sad and like struggling or something, or like even I would always wear tons of bracelets, and I'm just like, people probably knew, like I just had no idea at the time, or I thought nobody had the idea at the time.
Yeah. Something that boggles me, and I want to ask you about this, is like how it wasn't more, I guess, talked about in school.
I'm kind of still surprised that it's not. Like, I feel like self-harm isn't as, like, crazy as it was at our time kind of thing, because on like Instagram and stuff, like there was always these accounts that I would find that would be like about like how to be skinny, or like how to like self-harm yourself with like the proper way to do it, like without like actually killing yourself or something. And so I would see all of these things on Instagram and stuff, and like
it was, there used to be, it's definitely better now, but I remember, like, did you ever have Tumblr?
No.
There were like, and even on Instagram though, there were social media pages that were dedicated to self-harm.
Yeah, self-harming for somebody that you don't even know. Like, so there's not too much in schools to help with these things.
When you're that age in high school, it's not only is it, for one, it's fucking really hard to talk to somebody about it. So like, you can't really be expected to just go to the one guidance counselor that your school has and open up about these kinds of things, especially at that age. But trying to express myself in the only way I thought I had at that moment, I wrote an essay about it, and not once did anybody ask me if I was okay, or about what I was going through, and I thought that would have been enough. But like,
yeah, and I even remember times like crying in the hallway or something, like on my spare, just like by myself, like not fully like panic attack or anything, but like kind of tearing up. And like there would be teachers that would be like walking up and down the hallway, and they'd be like, oh hey, and like whatever, but like they would never sit with me or like say like, oh hey, are you actually okay, or something like that, unless it was like something dramatic or like drastic. Like I feel like that's kind of only when they took charge. Like I do remember one time somebody was in the bathroom and they had self-harmed themselves, I believe, but it was like so serious that they had to like call somebody and they had to like do stuff. But I guess it, like, my stuff wasn't that serious, but
well, it just wasn't happening at school, right?
I guess so,
Remember, I used to this happened, it was always math class that always got me, but I would go to the bathroom, during math class to hit myself, to try and make myself think, because I thought that would help me to be better at math for some reason. Because like I would be like stuck from what I now know is attention deficit and just generalized anxiety disorder that I live with now. Back then, there was nobody available to tell me that was something I was struggling with. Or if they were available, I didn't know where they were, and I didn't feel comfortable reaching out to them. And it boggles my mind to think that it's something that was never, I guess, brought up to us to say, like, hey, if this is something you're dealing with, there is support out there. Right? Like, we had Challenge Day, but for a lot of participants in Challenge Day, that just resulted in, for some people, bullying. For some people, it was just a day where everybody went and cried, and then everybody went back to school the next day and nothing happened. And everything went back to the same way. And actually, the first Challenge Day, I remember, like, when I realized what I realized, I was fully crying, and like the little session thing was over, and we were gonna have like a big group activity, and I was still crying. Like I was still like crying so hard, and like I couldn't stop because I realized what I was doing. And the one teacher I do remember coming to me, and she'd be like, "Are you okay? Like you seem like you're a little bit more upset than you should be." And I was like, "I'm freaking out." More like, upset than you should be.
Well,
it's like, what do you think we just talked about?
For the longest time. And so I told her, I was just like, well, I do this to myself. And I had, I think the night before, even like done a whole like full arm like situation, and so I was really freaking out. And she's just like, well, just go aside and like have a second or something to yourself. But even then, like, they didn't ask me any more things, or the next day they didn't like group back to me or like circle back and see how I was. But like
I mean, telling somebody to have a second to themselves isn't exactly good, counseling. And even if they even if they told me to go aside, like I could have just booked it, like I could have ran away for all they know, and like, but I just wasn't that type of person. But so you and I, like, obviously we were in the same grade, and we were in the same grade as Tanner, who is the namesake of the foundation, but you were close with Tanner.
I would say fairly close. We had the same music taste and the same interests, I would say. We would talk fairly often, like text and Snapchat all the time.
thinking back on it now and knowing now, like knowing Tanner's story and being where we are now, far out from when Tanner passed away, it's, what do you think on kind of the idea of just how many people really do struggle in silence, and how many people we know that were in our grade that were struggling at the time that we we never knew?
Yeah, I would say that everybody struggles at one point or another. I just really miss him. But yeah, whether or not you have some sort of like abuse or substance abuse that you're a part of in high school, I feel like everybody has a struggle at some point. And whether or not you pursue to find like help with it or anything, then I don't know. I don't know how to say that.
That's perfect. That's okay.
Yeah. But I would say too, like closer to Tanner's death, I kind of noticed that he was really sad, and I wanted to do something, but I didn't know what to do. Like I didn't know what to do to try to help my friend even. So like you'd think he didn't know how to ask for help or anything, and so yeah.
I mean, when we're that age, there's only so much that we can do for ourselves, right? And we have to rely on the systems that are in place to help us, but for a lot of us, they're not there.
And even if you do try to help your friend or something and they do accept your help for a little bit, they might kind of go back on themselves or like go back into their own mind and say like, no, like they're trying to like stop you from doing what you like to do to yourself, so like you should cut them off or something. I know that kind of happened with me, but
Yeah. How are you doing now?
I wouldn't say I'm a lot better, but I would say I'm better than I was in high school, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to lie and say that I'm 100% better, because I'm not. I still struggle a lot, actually, but I am working towards like doing more stuff for myself though, like getting outside and like going for walks is something simple like that can like uplift your spirit so much.
Yeah.
And I feel like now that my brother is off doing what he's doing, then I kind of feel like I don't have like something like close to me that I can like really talk to. Like I have my boyfriend, but I feel like your family really knows you the most, so like it's kind of hard that way. But too, with my recent struggles, like it's kind of been hard because I haven't been able to do everything that I've been wanting to do, or like not anything for myself kind of thing. So
Yeah.
yeah, I would say I'm better than I was in high school, like self-harm wise, but depression wise I still feel like I'm struggling with that.
Yeah. Do you feel now that you have a stronger support system, or that do you feel like you have supports available to you, especially growing up and living in a place like Huron County, like where we are super rural and there is like only so much help out there? Do you feel like you've been able to find kind of support?
Yes and no. I would say like my family and my in-laws really like been there for me, but I would say like professional help wise, I haven't really seeked out help with that, and sometimes I feel like my struggles aren't worth finding a therapist for, but I know like they would probably say to me like anybody who feels like they are struggling or like cries for more than 2 days in a row or something should talk to like somebody, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. What advice would you say to your younger self if you had any?
I would probably say don't take anything too seriously and don't take anything too deeply, because like I still think I take a lot of like signs and innuendos to heart, and I feel like that's too where I kind of like hurt my own self. with that stuff, where like people, like the way people kind of look at me, I always take that as like, why do they look at me like that, or like what's that specific look for? But I would say that, yeah, like don't take anything too seriously. Don't like think that nobody can help you, because there's always somebody that would help you, even if you don't know them, even if they're never talked to you before. I feel like even if you went up to them like, hey, can I just like talk to you for a second or something, I feel like anybody would like see the struggle in my face and like in my eyes and be like, well, yeah, let's like just talk for a second or something.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And if I feel like I'm more confident now with talking to just anybody, like either about struggles or just in general, like going to Timmy's or something, I'll just like talk to all the old people, because they're just so cheery and like loving, and just they don't care what we say, like, or what it looked like either, and they're just there to talk. Yeah. So.
Well, I mean, as far as confidence goes, even the fact that you're here right now is a big step, right? Like that's, don't minimize that. That's a big deal. That's a big thing. That's cool.
Yeah, I would definitely say that now I'm a lot open, like with myself, like with talking to like anybody. Like I was so quiet in high school, like I would never talk to like anybody because I was also struggling with that stuff. But now I feel like, yeah, I can just like talk to anybody. If anything, I love talking to people because they just have so many stories, and so many different people are so different. Like it's just
shared
so interesting to me.
Like
yeah,
learning like from other people's experiences.
Yeah, like whether it be happy or sad, it's just I just love talking to people now. So.
Yeah. Everybody lives life differently. Yeah,
for sure.
And there's a lot more shared experiences than you ever expect, right?
Oh yeah.
Like with self-harm, like there's a lot more people who know and have participated in whatever self-harm looks like for them than you ever know, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Peaceful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Give me a hug.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you'd like to share?
I would say don't like give in to peer pressure was one thing too that I did. So I would say don't fall into the trap of social media and what it looks like and what you think it should look like, or what they think that you should look like.
Yes.
Because that's a whole other thing too.
Yeah.
So.
Especially at our age, like this is like 2013, 2014, it was bad. There was no one checking up on that stuff.
Yeah.
Like Ask FM, Kick was happening.
Kick, oh my God, yeah.
Instagram, like there was self-harm all over social media. There was no content moderation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Teachers didn't know what it was.
Yeah, because I didn't even know really what like the apps were that we were using. Like that was like almost peak like social media and like internet time. So like it was like we first got introduced to Instagram like when we were teenagers. Like that's when it first came out.
Yeah.
So like we were like, oh, this is cool, but like also the dark side of it was just like what?
Yeah.
Like and also Facebook was like there's a dark side to everything.
Yeah, it was some gnarly shit.
Yeah.
Like
I would say I don't regret anything though. I am happy to have still lived through that, and I'm still alive today, and I'm proud to say that. So,
yeah.
say that.
Well, no, I mean same here.
I mean, like, to be where I am now, I'm proud that I lived through it gracefully and made it through.
You're a tough person. That's for sure. Yeah.
I guess.
No, don't say I guess. Yes, you are.
I mean, yeah. That's what I still struggle with. I just don't quite see it.
Yeah. Talking on coping now, what kind of ways, what do you use as coping mechanisms now? For myself, I know like there was a while in my life where I was smoking pot every day to stop myself from having those spiraling situations and to try to stop myself from self-harming. And for a while that was helpful, but now I go to counseling every week and I go to therapy and I try my best to be healthy. But yeah, what does self-care and what does coping look like for you?
I would say that my current boyfriend really helped me with that, because he really taught me how to like love myself for who I am, and he really seen me for like the beautiful person that I am. Like he would always write these little notes to me saying like, you don't need makeup, like you're so beautiful without it, like I love you and stuff. And so he made me realize that I'm beautiful in my own skin, and so I feel like that one helped. And I did smoke weed for a little while. I mean, I still kind of do, And I think like moving out of like the country home that I grew up in, like my whole life we were in one house. Like some people move around and stuff, but I was lucky enough to stay in the same house growing up. But then once I moved out of there and like kind of went on my own, then that's I think when I finally realized too that I was like, I am my own person. I can do whatever I want to do, and I can choose to do whatever I want to do, no matter who says what. And so I think that was just a real eye-opener to me, that I could do anything I wanted, and like I just had so many opportunities, and like
when you get out of that like that one place in the country, right, you're like, whoa, the world is like big. There's like stuff I can do for myself here.
And I would say too, even like getting my own job, and like that gave me so much like responsibility, and like so much like I had to get up early in the morning without my mom yelling at me, so I had to set my own alarm and like pack my own lunches and stuff. So I think just growing up more, I felt like more of an independent person. And like
How do you feel?
I feel great.
You feel good?
I feel good.
Cool.
I think this was a very positive thing.
I want to give you another hug.
Yes.
Can I do that?